All right. So, Kamala Harris has said on Telemundo that she backs mass amnesty. That's that. That's the end of she as the person who is the party has appointed to become the presidential candidate and all that. And she's the lead person in charge of presenting what the executive as a Democrat would want to do. So that's that for the party. They've made it very, very clear made it exactly clear, not only the method, but also just, what at the end of it, it's all going to mean. So they went out of their way to try to keep Trump from establishing a physical barrier that could keep people out. Then they said that this wasn't even a problem. Then when we were able to easily show that it was a problem, it became, it's not that much of a problem. Why are you guys so angry about it? Maybe you're just angry people full of hatred and anger. And so then when it actually then is an undeniable problem, it said, well, really, it was your guys' fault. As everybody heard at all these quote-unquote debates and such recently, it somehow became Donald Trump's fault. Through some weird magic, through some hocus pocus, it suddenly became his fault that there's all these illegal immigrants, and it's the Republicans' fault because, you see, they wouldn't agree to us letting in illegal immigrants because that's what our agreement was, that we would let people in and they would be cool with it. But they were like, no, we won't be cool with that, and so therefore it's their fault. So heads we're saints, tails you're devils. And so now there's no way around. Now, this was always a plot to bring in a completely new population within a handful of years, give them mass amnesty, and then they would forever vote Democratic. We now have it. This isn't deniable anymore. Your villains, your party shouldn't even be allowed to exist. And I really mean that. Like in almost any sane society that of highly intelligent people, we simply would ban your party. Like ideas like yours, would literally, like it said, if you keep talking like that, we'll exile you. And so that's really, I think Republicans should start discussing this. We have to figure out, some people, they gotta go. They were born and raised here, some people, and they gotta fucking go for the safety of the rest of us. They gotta be exiled. They're going to keep doing this. And in this regard, I want to take on, this idea of the bold and brave Sinwar, who, this guy, the stick of truth in all this business that everyone's talking about. And then this kind of we don't die, we multiply kind of thing going on with it as well, which there's this part of me okay, so how did that end up working out when disaster came? How did this mentality work out? Because now look at that literal place where that quote comes from. South Central LA, how's it doing now? So the issue now with the Sinwar thing was, what's his face made me really think about it. Was it fucking Snooky? What is his name? Smokey? Oh my god, I can't believe I'm forgetting this kid's name. The Filipino black kid who becomes Muslim. I'm pretty sure he's Filipino and black. Sneeko. That's it. Sneeko. And I wasn't even fucking around. That was just gone. That was totally gone. That happens once you get in your 40s, and now and then you're like, what the fuck? How did I forget that? It was right there. I was just thinking this only a second ago, So yeah, Sneeko brings up this thing, he's talking about, Sinwar and blah blah, and Sinwar was in prison for 25 years where they, did all these terrible things to him and this, that, and the other. And there's no part of me that's like, oh, that didn't happen. There's nothing like that. I'm willing to I'm willing to concede 25 years in any penitentiary, no matter how nice, is still being locked up for 25 years. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'm quite sure that was exceedingly unpleasant, no matter what, and it was very likely a very, very bad time of his life, that bad things were done to him. But here's the thing. That's not going to happen anymore. You see, they're not going to be that cruel anymore. I think nobody's really understanding the new stance from Israel on this. That they've made it very clear what their new position is on people who want to be jihadists, people who want to hurt them and hurt their families and hurt their children, people who ascribe to Marxist, Leninist, Arabist, Pan-Arabist, Islamist organization, jihadist organizations that in any way they have to have anything to do with. Israel has solved this problem of jailing people. They will wipe you out. They won't jail you. They will kill you. That's what they've made clear now. It's no longer that they'll put you in a prison for 20, 30 years. Oh, you terrorist. How could you terrorize people? They made it very clear. They're done with that. They did that all throughout my life. I remember when Sinwar was given back. It was actually kind of weird when all these people are talking about this online, that I'm like, why are you guys like queer for this guy? And then it hit me. I'm like, wait a second. Now I remember this. It was this and then, yeah, he's one of the guys given back with Sinwar. Okay, yeah, I do remember that. I was like, holy crap. I was blah, blah, blah years old then. No wonder I didn't understand the ramifications and things like that. And so now it's one of these things that I'm like seeing, especially the social media streamer type people that with Sneeko was the one that really kind of threw me off, because Sneeko's so into this idea that there's, oh, you don't know what you've unleashed by, blah, 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 Israel, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting there like, Sneeko, oh, you weren't there the first two times to see the compromises that the world asked from Israel to not just go fucking ham. And now they're like telling the world, no compromise. This is none. We're going ham. This is it. Like, we're done. And I was there. I got to see it multiple times where Israel held back what they could have done. And it would have, and one of the reasons also at that time that Israel held back so much was that they couldn't embroil themselves in that intense of a war at that level of technology. The technology like now just wasn't there. The level at which they've advanced their space program, geospatial stuff, geospatial footprint, air footprint. Remember, it's no matter what anybody wants to say, their soldiers can fly those planes. No matter what anybody wants to say, they could pull off keeping their military trained. These aren't an incompetent people that if we just didn't give them money, they would suddenly disperse like suds or something under the rain. And no, a lot of people get weird ideas in their head, because I'm thinking back, like, to stuff I'm thinking back over the years and then decades I knew of and stuff, and it's like, no, you guys are still kind of doing this thing of underestimating the will of a people that absolutely want to survive, versus what seems like a group of people that almost every single choice they make only makes their lives more intensely worse. But then again, I had to go back again. No, we're talking about one group of Palestinians. One group. There's a bunch of them in the surrounding countries. It's just that in no way, shape, or form do they do something to try to carve out some kind of autonomous space. And the whole thing about it is, these are kith, kin, and clan relationships that they could still trace. They could still say these groups are related in this way. They have some understanding of who their family histories and such like that are. So that's not the deal I'm even talking about. It's just that this idea that there needs to be some kind of autonomous state, the only reason that this autonomous state is being demanded is to humiliate Jews. That's it. People just don't want to deal with that. That's a consistent part of the Islamic culture. That's real. It's consistent. It like how what was it when the Jews didn't go along with Muhammad in some way, or they offended him in some way, he ravaged one of their villages, took one of their women as his personal hostage and sex slave and house slave, and she poisoned him to death. I find it very interesting. Only the Christians want to discuss, like, no, do you not get how this guy behaved personally by everyone's admission who are a follower of him? You know, at least with Karl Marx and the Marxist-Leninists, these guys can, like, deny that they, like, Karl Marx is the only one born with his last name, that Lenin, that's not his last name, he's a fucking phony, and it was like, and from, I think, some far outlying part of Russia at the time or something. I remember in one book I was reading, he would have looked weird to anybody who lived around Moscow. He actually would have looked like one of the guys from, like, way out yonder. So it's kind of this, it would almost like being told by somebody from Guam that everybody on the mainland should live according to their personal philosophy, and the person didn't wash, which would be really weird, if you were to think about that would be really peculiar to have somebody like that pop up, from the territory of Guam. I'm bringing the science. But I wanted to just put that out there, not really even as, like, some kind of Dunkarooski kind of post or something. Some, like, oh yeah, what do you think? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, ha, ha, ha. Laughing at you. No. You all seem to be ignoring this major change in Israeli policy. That the terrorists will just simply be wiped out. And that not only is it this idea of, like, you did something actively, that now they are actively seeking out these organizations. Now, something that really needs to now be thought about. I really want now Sneeko and these people to start really calculating, because you're not thinking like those of us who've been more and more now, we're kind of right of center, whether we like it or not. I just want to preserve the constitutional republic. I want a decade of stable, quiet, constitutional republicanism. Very little else. Just want to see if we could pull it off. just want to see what the results would be. No fucking crazy shenanigans from the communists and wacky neocons. And for some reason, these like very wealthy Jewish people who do think they see that they need to manipulate the society in wild and weird fucking ways. Yeah, like these Adelson types and such like. But anyway, I want to reiterate then that rumor about what happened on 4chan on October 7th. So there's a rumor that all of the porn on 4chan vanished all on one shot on October 7th. All these weird shit posters and glowy posters and stuff like that all vanished. And it was as if they were suddenly called to do something else. That's what the rumor is. That the poll board suddenly was no longer getting menaced by wackos. And there's also far less attention suddenly on us in the same way. It's not the same type of attention. In fact, I would imagine, aren't some of you kind of curious why we're suddenly getting so many, not just wins, but people suddenly saying, you know, Trump is right about that. I mean, you see, I tuned into Nick Fuentes for a moment because of the way Nick Fuentes went off about the Sinwar death. Because it was like, no, the throwing of the stick was actually I was pretty sad. like maybe the way that you guys think about romantic scenes and adventure, and it's a different thing of, look, he hurled a stick. But no, in the Western world, that was pathetic. That was fucking hilariously pathetic. It was, to see the villain die that way, it just so ingloriously, just utterly shattered, by a shell. Like, that wasn't like a bold, like, wow, look at how boldly, he died like a man. No, that's not not in this part of the world. That's not what people would normally think. Sorry, there's a bunch of people going, there we go, okay. Yes, I finally scheduled this correctly. There's a certain time, like I told you guys, if I do my little walk at a certain time, all the traffic is done. But if I don't schedule it right, I run headlong into every single car in South Eugene trying to get in this parking lot. But anyway, so, because Nick Fuentes kind of made me sort of think about this with, a lot of people seem to be getting the call, in a way, like, okay, it's over for a while. She can't get elected. If she does, we don't know how fucking bad it would be. You're gonna have to help us support the orange guy. Because more and more people are like, showing their support and kind of being like, yeah, we're done. And I mean, but this one is one of these where the people getting the call are totally different. They're such different types of people. Like, it's not the call. There's no phone system for that. That's miraculous. That's why I'm like sitting back like, this is crazy. After all these years, to see like, so this is how bad, okay, so it could have gotten worse. I've seen places in the world where it got worse, so okay, I see what, and I feel a little weird about calling it when the white women can't go someplace and sit outside with nice clothes on, enjoying nice food without being menaced by maniacs and stinkos and people like that everything would change. That's when it would change. They can't be fabulous, and women in America like feeling fabulous. And men like providing that environment. And now we don't give a fuck how they feel, and everything's getting stinko style and wacko. And so it's like, yeah, that's not fabulous in any way, shape, or form. As Lizzo says, it's all becoming like Detroit, to paraphrase Lizzo. So I'm like, it's just, that part's kind of funny. So all of a sudden, a lot of people are trying to figure out how to kind of get along with us. They're probably trying to figure out who in the party can we manipulate so that we could control everybody. How do we figure out how to... And then there's a lot of people who are like, holy shit, he's going to shut down. This is going to rock the system so much. Like, people are... There's already admissions from articles that people within the government are moving around in departments and such. And soon, a movement to take out jihadists and Jew haters could get horribly, horribly wild. Because of people who like to control other people. Because of people who that's what they do. They take it to 11. They're wealthy, they're powerful, and they, for some reason, they got to help take it to 11. They got to find that person who's going to kick it up. Kick it up way too many notches. Like the January 6th hearings. Kick it up way, way too high, And so this is the thing that I'm kind of now at the stage of, I should warn you now, somebody might decide that people like you need to be kind of constantly monitored for whatever purpose. There's already 2 million people on DHS Homeland's watch lists. Yeah, and so, I mean, there's a lot of people who they would be like, well, you see, I used to be a Democratic activist. Now I watch what Sneeko does all the time. I decided that, the Democrats maybe were taking it a little too far, so I decided I would help, monitor Jew haters, and so I just am putting it out there because this is something that all of us on the deep right, we're always having to look out for. Operational security. The young guys are the ones who made me understand this, that they are more than aware of this kind of thing, that you always have to watch for operational security because it's the way the internet works and the culture around the internet. So, yeah, just some thoughts I was having on that. Later.